Morning, guys. It's the Money Man show today without the Money Man. We've got Shakes and myself here. The Money Man is taking his talents to the golf course for a sponsored golf day. So we will be writing up our predictions in a separate piece, and we'll have our sort of three separate predictions for the 10 different matches. But today, Shakes is joining me, and we're going to chat about the two biggest games of the weekend, arguably. That's Everton Man United, and then Liverpool Manchester City, of course, and then give you guys a little value bet at the end. So, Shakes, thanks for joining me.
Yeah, always a pleasure, Oliver, man. Always a pleasure. Unfortunately, we can't have Kevin here, but I wish him all the best at the golf day.
I'm sure he's hacking it up. Well done on last week's win. You and Kev both actually called that. I went with Spurs, but you're silly in hindsight. Arsenal would do a win, and Spurs haven't been great. So, but emphatic win. 3 goals in the first half, unanswered. Consolation in the second half. Thought it was, and they played some really
Yeah,
nice footy. I'm sure you must be just impressed with the football that they played too.
yeah, no, I won't lie. You're certainly right, Oliver. Thanks for the congratulations. I do think Arsenal would do a win as well. But I mean, I don't want to get over too excited. And the reason being for that is because anyone who watched the game was as good as Arsenal were. I thought it was more Tottenham who was so bad, and I think it gave everybody the realities of what Spurs are like at this current moment. And Nuno's got a big job on his hands there, to be honest, because some players were just not tracking back, some players in the wrong position. I think Harry Kane as well, regardless of the fact that he ran all the way back to try to stop Saka from scoring the goal. Still, man, I thought he moped around still. And
Totally.
yeah, but big up to Arsenal.
Yeah, big ups to Arsenal. You can only take, I think when you're in the position that Arsenal was in and you get a win like that, just, best thing to do is great win. Where do we move forward? So yeah, well done on that. We didn't do too well in our predictions. I think you're leading with 4 out of 10. Kevin, myself, 3 out of 10. But it happens. There were some upsets. Big win for Manchester City, obviously, over Chelsea, 1-0. Pep sort of finally got the better of Thomas Tuchel. I think now that's 1 in 4 for Pep. So let's get stuck straight into it. City Liverpool this weekend, huge game. Arguably, the two. I think Kevin's vying big time for Chelsea, but for me, Liverpool and City are still the two teams in that top two race. Doubt on Trent Alexander-Arnold for Liverpool, and then you said, I think, who's the other guy that's out?
Thiago and
And
Harvey Elliott
Thiago, yeah,
might
and
be
Harvey
out.
Elliott, obviously that horrible ankle injury. So, how big of a difference do you think, especially Trent and Thiago make to Liverpool's sort of cause for this weekend?
Yeah, no, I mean, I think obviously Trent gives them something that's been different. I think even with Trent, if you've seen him this season, is he sometimes has come into midfield as well. He's helped out in midfield. He's sort of drifted into that role. He does get forward. He does provide assists as well. Those crosses are very crucial. And sometimes you'll find Liverpool will go with either James Milner will play in that position, or they can have Gomez play in that position as well. But they don't have the mobility that Trent has. As for Thiago, on the other hand, look, he hasn't played as much as he possibly would have liked to. Obviously, suffering with fitness issues. I think Harvey Elliott took his place at the time, and then Harvey Elliott came out. Thiago came in, and then he had to come out as well. And now they have to deal with sort of the midfield looks a little bit thin, but they'll be happy that Navigator came back, scored that brilliant goal. Ox is still
Uh,
within the mix as well, but those teams missing definitely. I think they're definitely missing, but they were very impressive against FC Porto. They score goals for fun now.
yeah, against Portsmouth. Yeah, I mean, what was that, 5-1?
Porto.
Porto, yeah, I said Portsmouth. I was like, I'm pretty sure they didn't play Portsmouth. Um, yeah, it's great to see, because it's something we didn't see last season with Liverpool after we had those injuries to Van Dijk and then Gomez and Matip and everyone at separate occasions. What was happening was you weren't seeing Mane score. Bobby wasn't scoring and Salah was scoring, but not as much as you would have liked. And what's been great about this season, and we've been calling it for the past year, is when Liverpool get that defensive unit back, it makes such a big difference to their attack. And it's great to see a game like this one against Porto, where Bobby's scoring, Mane's scoring, Salah's scoring. It's kind of how it should be, you know.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, I think obviously that's a huge one for them to go into the weekend with. Great win, but equally City got a great win over Chelsea. How much do they take from that? They've got no notable injuries in their squad. Jack Grealish has been firing in the midfield. Everyone said, like, is there really a place for him? Do they need him? City need a striker. I don't not necessarily of the belief that City need a striker when they have a team that brilliant. You just got to look at the sort of reserves that come on. It's scary, the sort of depth in that squad. I think it'll be a great sort of clash of styles this weekend. But who do you think's got the edge? Sorry.
Yeah, no, I actually wanted to ask you. I actually wanted to ask you the question. Two questions actually. Number one being Liverpool, right? How much do you read into that Brentford 3-3 game? Do you just see it as a crazy game, or do you say that Liverpool did look a little bit shaky defensively and very open? Do you look at it as that way?
Look, they were. They were shaky and they were open, but I think people also need to give. People don't actually give Brentford enough credit so far this season. I think we're seeing a very similar thing to what we saw with Leeds last season, where it's the guys they've been promoted for a reason. It's because they were top of that division. They've come in. It's good management. It's good. They're playing good football, and they're riding off the high. So it's like second season will be a very different scenario for Brentford. But they've got some great wins, and they now got a great draw against Liverpool, and it was a good game. Liverpool, from an attacking perspective, played well. It could have been 6-3 to them, So I think if I look at the converse, yes, shaky defense, but good attack from Brentford. Give them credit where it's due. But also a couple of poor missed opportunities from Liverpool. There's and that's the one thing about Salah is you can't argue that he is a goal scoring machine, but he misses a hell of a lot of them as well. And people criticize Ronaldo for being the tap-in king, but at the end of the day, you still got to make those tap-ins. There's a lot of tap-ins that Salah doesn't make, and that the Liverpool side didn't make. So I don't think, look, there's 20 quality teams in the Premier League. I don't think you take too much from a game like that Brentford one. It was just an open, great sort of attacking scenario. I'm concerned about...
So, and then the second question I wanted to ask was, so obviously Manchester City played against Chelsea. I thought that was a brilliant performance. I thought for me that performance, it said champions for me. That was just the way that they even compressed Chelsea in terms of not being able to create chances, not being able to have a shot on target in their own backyard. They have that performance, and then they go against PSG, and you sort of think against Chelsea, it didn't seem like they needed a striker, but against PSG, it seemed like they needed a number 9.
That's a very good point, because if I look at that PSG game, from about 30 minutes to 80, when did Messi score? Did he score 70th? But
he scored about 70th minute, somewhere around there.
There was about 40 minutes from the end of the first half to sort of midway through the second half, where it was just Manchester City. De Bruyne was pinging those in. They were in the box. The PSG weren't in that game, and PSG win, what looks like comfortably. So, that makes sense what you're saying. It was this inability to break through. How much do you think they take from that? How much do you think Champions League and Premier League do correlate? Liverpool are a vastly different team to what PSG are, And at the end of the day, PSG have, whether they're gelling or not, they have Neymar, Messi, and Mbappe, who, any given day, individual brilliance,
Yeah, I agree. I think for me, it's the frustration of they were so good against Chelsea. I really was impressed with that performance. I thought to myself, wow, Pep has just showed everybody again why he is, you would argue, the best in the world at this current moment. But then you watch the PSG game and they made so many opportunities, but they were not able to put them in the back of the net. And now you ask yourself which Man City is going to turn up this weekend. The same with Liverpool too. Is it the Brentford Liverpool that turns up, or is it the Brentford against Porto that turns up?
Look, I think these sides also know who they're playing. And I think in Liverpool's case, they probably came out against Brentford a little bit more loose, a little bit more flamboyant, with the mentality subconsciously, it's Brentford, It's going to be a very different situation against Manchester City. And if I look back on last year's results, that first game they played, 1-1, great game of chess. For me, probably one of the best Premier League games last season to watch. Second game, Liverpool, host of injuries. I think it was 4-1 to Manchester City. Just, masterclass from City, poor from Liverpool. I think this weekend is going to be a very similar thing. A 1-1 or a 2-2 won't surprise me. I think it's going to be a similar game of chess. Trent Alexander-Arnold out. Obviously, he's huge dynamic, but James Milner's been around for so long. He knows what he's doing. I don't think you are, as much as you may lose a little bit, I don't think you're getting someone in that's shaky, You don't have a youngster there. It's not a case of when Reece Williams and Nat Phillips are propping up the centre backs for Liverpool, you know. So I really think it's going to be both Pep and Jurgen Klopp will be very aware of as much as taking opportunities is important, is not allowing opportunities for the other sides. So I'm going to call it 2-2 in this game.
Yeah, I think if I was to make a prediction, I think it's going to be very close. I think you're right, game of chess, and I think you made a good point when you said that these teams know who they're playing at particular moments. So I think 1-1. I'd probably say 1-1 is probably going to be the result I go with.